Okay, so today, sorry it's been a while, my back's been killing me, y'all. But today we're gonna go over Proverbs 1 and 1. It's gonna answer a couple things for us. One is that and we'll do the next video I'll do, it's gonna be on this just so I keep it updated. I'll probably do a little slide video later, or maybe even go live and do it. But the next video is gonna show how in the New Testament, when it says He, I'm gonna take you to the Bible dictionary for the Holy Spirit. So it says the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and He, speaking of the Holy Spirit, it actually is not saying He. It's like He, it, she. It could be anything. So we're going through Proverbs to not only show that the Holy Spirit is a feminine spirit, but also, or Ruach Kodash, but also we're going to show that the Holy Spirit promotes God's law. And that's how you kind of gain the Spirit. And that's what helps you overcome the world through Proverbs, right? So here we go. Proverbs 1 and 1. And it says, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive instruction of wisdom, justice and judgment and equality. Now, wisdom is the Holy Spirit. Remember, Solomon was filled with the Holy Spirit. It says, to give subtlety to simple, to young man knowledge and discretion. To a wise man will hear and will increase learning. A man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. To understand a proverb in the interpretation, the words of the wise in the dark sayings. So it's breaking down. The Spirit gives you the ability to understand the words of the wise, to understand the dark saying. And if you have no counsel, it'll give you this. If you have like no wisdom, the Spirit will give you counsel to discreet good from evil. If you filled with wisdom, like if you're a smart person, the Spirit will give you more wisdom, greater knowledge, right? Greater understandings of the things, rather they be the dark things in the light, right? Because you have to kind of understand the dark to know to stay away, because the devil will try to trick you by bringing the same thing 100 different ways, right? So it's a million ways to be bad. And there's only one way to be good. You see what I'm saying? So the devil's always got a game plan. And it says, a wise man will hear and will increase learning, right? So a wise man is just going to get smarter, like I was saying. And a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. So wisdom is going to make them wise at counseling, right? And it says, to understand a proverb, right, you need wisdom. And the interpretation, to break down what the Bible's saying, you need wisdom. The words of the wise and the dark sayings, right? To understand what wise people are talking about and what evil people are sneaking in to make it as it's not that evil, right? Like gay pride. And here we go. It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, right? And people say that you shouldn't fear God. But this is what it says right here. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Why? Because when we fear God, we become obedient. If you fear your mom, you're going to follow her rules. If you fear the police, you're going to follow their rules. If you fear losing your job, you're going to follow the rules, because you don't want to face the consequences of the thing that you fear. That's why you fear them, right? So fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, because then you start following the rules. But fools despise wisdom and instruction, right? So people who don't, people who really like, it's a lot of people who can say they care about God. The people who really don't care, this is how you separate, right? Because fools despise wisdom and instruction. They're not going to take the words of God to heed and to change themselves. They care more about feeding their selfish desires, their foolish ways, right? It says, my son, hear the instruction of thy father. Forsake not the law of thy mother, right? So don't forsake God's law. Why did it say, forsake not the law of thy mother. It's God's law. There are three that bear record, right? The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the woman. The way it was created was, like it says in the New Testament, it says it's God, then it's Christ, then it's man, then it's woman, then it's the children. That's the order, but the order starts from the head. So the woman can't have different rules than the man. You see what I'm saying? So when it says to follow the law of thy mother, it's saying that she's the one who instructed you to follow God's law in the wilderness the first time. Follow it, right? It says, for they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head. Why? Because if you start following the law and you gain understanding of God, it's going to protect you from evil. It won't be that gray line. You can't say, well, people are born this way. And people can't help feeling this way. Because it won't be a gray line. Because you will understand the law. These people just don't want to be obedient. That's what it comes down to. So it says, for they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head and chains about thy neck, right? My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. Right? So it's saying, if people are trying to get you to go against me, saying it's not that bad, it'll be all right, don't follow them. Don't consent to them. It's saying, if they say, come with us, let us lay wait for blood. Let us lurk privily for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them up alive as the grave, in whole, as those who go down to the pit. So why are they waiting to get these innocent people for no reason, right? It's going to get into it, right? It says, we shall find all precious substance. We shall fill our house with spoil. So that's why they want to set people up, right? It's like in the discretion of the bigger machine. You know what I'm saying? In the discretion of the company moving forward, I could lay these people off. I'm sorry that it might hurt your family. You might not have no food. You can end up being the next homeless person. But in the discretion of the company, this is for the better of the company. The company is just people. So it's for the better of a certain group of people who get to eat more, that will cut the collateral out for these other people so they can't eat, right? It says, cast in lots among us, and let us all have one purse, right? So we're going to all get all of this together. Let's cast in lots and see who's going to get, all of this money, right? My son, walk not in the way with them. So don't do that. Don't be like that. Don't put the corporation over the people. Put the people over the corporation. Put God over everything. You see what I'm saying? It says, my son, walk not thou in the way with them. Refrain thy foot from their path. For their feet run to evil and make haste to shed blood. Why? Because as much as these people talk and they say, oh this, oh that, oh God, oh this, oh that, the minute they're angry, all of that's out the window. They don't no longer care. They're ready to take your damn head. Why? Because that was never, that they might have had the intention of being good, but they never battled the spirits that kept them from being it. You see what I'm saying? So those spirits who wanted to take off your head at that moment, or wanted to take off the next person's head in that anger, in that rage, that same spirit been present in them the whole time. It's not because somebody agitated them to bring that spirit out. No, that spirit been waiting for somebody to get it to come out. It's been hoping for somebody. It's a process that goes into it. It says, it says, for their feet run to evil and make haste to shed blood. That means quick to shed blood. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird, and they lay wait for their own blood. They lurk privily for their own lives. You see, so they don't separate one from another. This is about growth or business or evil. This is how the devil works. It don't matter whether it's one European nation versus another European nation. When it comes down to it, they might have the actual same real blood. Like, okay, for instance, whether you're Spanish or you're French, you're Caucasoid, come from the Caucasoid Mountains. So you would share at one point in time the same blood. So even at that point in time, it's like we're over this person. It's never where people are trying to make it good for everybody. It's we're over this person. He's like, don't go with these people. It says, so are the ways of everyone that is greedy of gain. You see, that's what it's saying. They just want to get more. They just want to build up the corporation, build up the brand. They just want to get gain. They're not looking at the consequences that they cause it. It says, which taketh away the life of the owners thereof, right? It says, wisdom crieth out. She uttereth her voice in the streets. So it's not like God is not putting his input in, right? People know when things are bad. They go against that initial feeling that things might be bad and do it anyways. This is what I have to do. It says, she crieth in chief places of concourse, in the opening of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words, saying, how long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? In the scorners of delight in their scorning. In fools hate knowledge. Why? Because they rejected God. God is knowledge, and everything that man considers knowledge is foolish to God. Like 365 in a quarter day, that's foolish to God. You see what I'm saying? Like, God's like, the man's like, well, in 20,000 years, we'll adjust it some. Like, that's foolish to God. He's laughing at that. That's dumb. But yet he'll give us the knowledge. He created the earth in 7 days. There's 7 days in a week. There's 52 weeks in a year. 52 times 7, 364. He'll lay it out for you. And then tell you, to keep the Sabbath. Every new season comes in on the Sabbath. Every year during the beginning of spring, the hour change back. Saturday night you go to sleep. Sunday you wake up. It's a whole new season. No more cold weather. It's nice now. And it always falls on God's calendar. But men reject that. To say, well, no, this is our calendar. The new year falls on January the 1st. How does that make sense? How does a new year fall in the middle of a season? It's just, the new year falls in the middle, in the middle of winter. That makes absolutely no sense. But this is man. They worship the sun. They worship idols. They worship the luminaries. They don't worship God. That's why they're not obedient. That's what this is constantly reminding us. And it says, turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you, and I will make known my words unto you. Right? So that's what's happening. That's why I'm sitting here telling people right now what's going on. God is letting his words be known unto us. There's no excuse. When Christ says that in this doctrine shall be spread into the four corners of the earth, and then the end shall come, there's no excuse. If you didn't want to click play, if you didn't want to watch, if you didn't want to go deeper and do your own research and get greater understanding of these subjects, that's on you. It's not because God didn't make it out there for you. And regardless of the evil that's in the world, we live in a time where all the books, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, all these people would have had to go from one side of the earth to the other side to a special library to find these Bible books, these dedicated books, and God has revealed it to all of us. So regardless of if it's girls popping their ass or doing whatever on the tube, and then it's people killing or doing whatever, and there's drugs and whatever, the word is out there. So it's not an excuse for us not to take heed to what he left us. We just choose to do what we want to do. You see what I'm saying? So it says, I will pour out my spirit unto you, and I will make known my words unto you. because I have called, and ye refused. I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. That was the covenant, was the law, his rules, his ordinances. How do you know how to love a person if you don't follow what God says love is? It's just making up what love. What I consider love could be different what you consider love. But the overall understanding of love is what he wrote in the book. So when it says to love your brother, that there's two commandments. Love God with all your heart and love your brother as you love yourself, or love your neighbor as you love yourself. How could you do that if you didn't read the Old Testament? How could you know not to covet, not to steal? How could you know? Because that might not be a big deal. That could be borrowing to you. I just pick somebody, so I'll give it back. But according to God, that's not good. You're not allowed to do that. So you could do something that you consider not too bad. He knew I was going to pay him back. I'm always over here. But to him, he like, hold on, that's not how it works. You a thief. You see what I'm saying? So it's important to understand the law. Therefore, we can know how to separate good and evil. And it says, it says, and ye refuse. I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. But ye have set at naught at my counsel. So that means you would not receive my counsel, and would none of my reproof. So none of the things I was telling you to do to correct yourself, you didn't want to follow. I will also laugh at your calamity. So when the things come on this world to start to destroy you off, right? I will mock you when your fear cometh. You see what I'm saying? Because we weren't paying attention. You had the reins all along. You was given the key. Your mom left the keys to the Rolls Royce on the table. And you sitting in the house crying, talking about you don't have a car to go to school. Like, you got the keys. We're not taking the keys and doing what we need to do. It says, I will mock you when your fear cometh. It says, when your fear cometh as desolation, that means to destroy, to eliminate. It says, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind. When distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me. So then you're going to be screaming out, God, 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 God. But I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they will not find me. You didn't start building a relationship. Now you wait judgment. You cannot expect grace once grace ended. Once judgment begins, grace is over. You understand? Like, if you get grace period on your rent, they give you a period to pay the money. Once that grace period's over, eviction starts. That's the judgment. So once eviction starts, you don't have grace no more. You gotta get out. Get your stuff, get out. That's what he's saying. It's done. You didn't prepare to play on my side. You didn't even try. It's not like God's not forgiving. It's not like God's not merciful. That's why he came and gave Christ to us, so Christ would die, so we would have a chance to come back to him. Because before, they would have died if they committed half the sins we commit. And it says, for they hated my knowledge, right? It says, they shall seek me early, but shall not find me. Why? Because they hated my knowledge and did not choose to fear the Lord. You weren't afraid of him. You didn't think that there was a punishment for not being obedient to him. It says, they would none of my counsel. So you wouldn't listen to any of his words, despise his reproof. You know, they despise all my reproof, meaning we would not follow anything he was doing to correct us. Therefore shall they eat the fruit of their own way. You path the path of wickedness. Suffer the consequences. What do police tell you? Ignorance is not an excuse for not following the law. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse for breaking it, right? So this is what he's saying. It says, and be filled with their own devices. So all these things that you lusted, all these things you lusted and cared for and wanted so much, these same things are going to drag you down to the pit of death. It says, for turning away of the simple shall slay them. For turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. Right? So because they're not listening to a person who's not as complex, not as technically evolved. It's not talking about dinosaurs, but talking about a book that's been here for all these years. You turn away from the simple, you know what I'm saying? And it's going to kill you. It's going to slay you, right? In the poverty of the fools shall destroy them. Or in the prosperity of the fools shall destroy them. Why? Because that's the sense of living and understanding. We have to make money. God blesses us with this money. That understanding is going to get you destroyed because the money is going to disappear overnight, and then it's going to be time for judgment. It says, but whoso hearken unto me shall dwell safely and shall be quiet from the fear of evil. That's the importance of knowing God, keeping his commandments, and being obedient. And that's why Christ did not do away with the law. That's why Christ says that not one jot or jittle shall be done away with the law. And people would say, well, when Christ died, he fulfilled it. No, heaven and earth is still here. When the law is fulfilled, there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. And this place is going to be done. And all the people who went against God's is going to be in punishment. So there is no fulfillment done yet. We're watching all things be fulfilled in front of our eyes right now, as it is. And that's it for today. Thank you. Y'all have a blessed one. Boom.